All right. What's up, everyone? My name is Zach. We are back with Ivy Studio Weekly, although I feel like we need a new name for this. I'm trying to do more regular studio updates, usually with other people. I don't know, maybe we'll call it something like We Make Board Games or something, or like, I don't know, something that, gives people the idea of like, if you like board games, you might enjoy hearing us talk about what it's like to make them. So if you have any name ideas, let me know. But it's just me today. So Lily, Kirk, and Austin are in Gamma, or they're coming back from Gamma, which is a conference in Louisville. I'm talking to, local retailers a lot. I think that's a lot of what they're doing. Your friendly local game store folks. So they're on their way back. So it's just me. Sam is in Australia, or on his way back from Australia. He just ran a 100K, which is more Ks than I knew there were, honestly. So yeah, he did that, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, so it's just me. You just got me. So I got a big mailbag of great questions from you all that we'll get through. But first, we're gonna do our regular opening segment, which is what have we been up to? What have we been doing this week? Well, Scales of Fate coming to Kickstarter on March 18th. So I've been working on, the Kickstarter page, lots of promo stuff for that, continued testing, making sure everything's in a good spot. But we did something a little strange this time around. We announced pricing. So not usually something we do. We usually, are figuring this out, right up until the end, because we're trying to decide, what should go in what tier and what, what's in the deluxe, what's in, super deluxe, that kind of thing. But we sent out an email with this information. So first of all, if you're not on our email list, you should go sign up for our email list. That's how you know when things go on sale. You get all the good deets. But standard edition, $39, deluxe edition, $59. And there's a little secret something coming that you might want to save another $20 for. So it's all happening. March 18th. I just posted a gameplay video of me and Austin playing Scales of Fate, so go check that out. Last time I got just absolutely smoked by Lily. Smoked. This one went better. I won't tell you how it ends, though. So go watch that. We also had a local game night here at the office, which went very well. Great turnout. Lots of people came, played the game, gave us their thoughts. I shot some video. I'll cut together a little highlight reel. But yeah, I think we're going to start doing that pretty regularly with our launches with new games. So keep an eye on the Discord. We'll be posting about, when we're going to have local game nights. We want you to come and hang out with us and play. Yes. Okay. What else have we been doing? We're doing 3 smaller games this year. So we've been working a lot on those. That iteration cycle looks, at the moment, we've got like solid core of the game. They're still in, art's in production, so it's a lot of like temp art. We're in public playtesting, so if you'd like to playtest any of these 3 games, come over to our Discord. Trying to rapidly iterate, right? Do a series of playtests, make some changes, get feedback, keep going through that loop as many times as we can before we gotta turn in those files. And speaking of turning in files, the wood pieces are due today. So I should probably be working on the wood pieces and not making this video. But here we are. I said I would do a video to myself, and I keep promises that I make to myself. So here we are. So wood pieces are due today because they take a little bit longer. So we need to submit those on Monday. So I guess I really do on Monday, but I'm trying to have them done today. So what does it look like? Here's a screenshot of what some wood pieces look like. The tricky part, and one of the things that you might not know about, is I have to choose Pantone colors, or Dane, our graphic designer, has to choose Pantone colors for. Colors are tricky. Not all colors that you see on your screen are printable, first of all. So you might be designing something on your screen and it's just not possible for that color to come out on paper. So you may be familiar with RGB. That is an additive color model. You add up red, green, and blue. If you have pure red, green, and blue, you get white. But when you're printing something, it's a subtractive color model. So basically, like the more color you add, the darker it gets. So it's like a totally different way of making color. It's called CMYK. So that's cyan, yellow, magenta, and black with the K at the end of black. Or key is also what the K could stand for. I don't know. But so you got CMYK colors, different than RGB colors. But then you also have Pantone colors. Pantone is basically a monopoly on color. Big color, okay? Not a fan. Shh. I wish it was open source. Why aren't we open sourcing this? I don't know. It's a topic for a different video. If you work at Pantone, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're great. But Pantone is basically I can pick a Pantone, and then Pantone comes up with very specific instructions of how to mix paint together. However, Pantone has even more limited selection of colors, and so I have to match colors to the colors that I want to see on the wood. And then even then, they look totally different sometimes than what I see on my screen. So, yeah, it's a whole thing. It takes a lot of time. Not one of my favorite tasks, but it's on the to-do list for today. What else am I working on? I am working on Realm of Reckoning. So that is going to be our summer launch. I'm very excited about this. I know I say this all the time, but it's my favorite game yet. It's so fun. We are really in a ton of, at least me personally, in a ton of art direction and creative direction land, working with our artists, and our artist in this case, name is Reese Parker. Check out this piece of art that just came in. This is the player board. Very stoked about the style. It's coming together. Reese is doing a great job. Just a lot of back and forth on, making sure things are connecting with the theme and the lore, but also just like being readable. There's just so much work that goes into like, okay, this looks dope, but also like, does it communicate well? We had a big problem with colors and just like the readability of the board state. It's very difficult as an artist, myself included, to like, I don't know, you find yourself making trade-offs, right? Between does this look good versus like, does it communicate well? And ideally it's both, but it's a pretty tricky puzzle to get it there. The other thing I've been trying to do better at is get a better understanding of how sizing works. And so, because, like a lot of times I hope we'll get a prototype, and it's the first time I've seen it like at its true size in physical form. And so I've been trying to get a little bit better at that. So today, or the other day, I used all of our ink, all of it. We need new printer ink. This is this right side up? No. Yes, it is. This is the map for the board for Realm of Reckoning. I just printed it out just to see how's it feeling. How big's the text? How does it fit on a table? All that kind of thing. It won't be black and white. Don't worry. But yeah, if someone wants to send us some new printer ink, we need that. Okay, moving on to a new segment, show and tell time. First up, we're going to look at some more Realm of Reckoning things. This was very fun. I'm a big fan of custom fonts. So we made some like custom fonts for some of our other games, most notably Veiled Fate. We have a custom font for like these like cool glyphs that are part of the game that are like, we use like a lot of secret codes, and you'll see it everywhere. So like I have a custom font that you can just type and it will, do that up. Well, Reese has a very cool handwriting style. He was doing a bunch of these custom titles that are just his handwriting. And I'm like, look, I'll make you a deal. I know this isn't part of our scope, but if you get me A through Z, 0 through 9, I'll make it into a font, and then you can sell it. You can do whatever you want with it afterwards. And so now we have a Realm of Reckoning font that we can kind of use for whatever. We're going to use it all throughout the game, which is great because it was kind of a challenge, right? It was like we usually do some amount of translations for our games, and I can't just go back to Reese every time. It's like, look, all right, here's all the French stuff. Go type it up. or go write it all. That wasn't going to work. So I'm very excited about this font. I think it gives like a very, very nice specificity to the game. Next up, big thing I've been working on is this dial. So this is my mock-up. This is what I'm sending out to Reese to then draw on and put his spin on. So in Realm of Reckoning, you are bidding on these reckonings. These reckonings occur. Somebody triggers a reckoning, and then we essentially bid on the rewards of the reckoning, spending our troops, spending influence we've gained in all the different factions, spending money, mercenary cards, all kinds of things. But you queue up what you want to spend on this dial. The range is between 0 and like 40, I would say, is like, I don't think I've ever voted in the 30s, but you never know. So I've been experimenting. I think I got something that I think is going to be quite fun. It's like this kind of mask looking thing. It's been a tricky puzzle because you want it to be usable. You want it to have some cool vibes to it that fit with the lore and the art direction. Let me know what you think. One thing I'm a little bit worried though is this top little lever is, I think it's gonna be a giveaway, right? Because if it's over to the left, it's like gonna be one way. If it's over to the right, you'll be able to tell. So still dialing it in. So yeah, and then the last thing I'll bring to show and tell is Time to Panic. So this is one of our 3 small games working with very dear friends of ours, the Lassiters. They have a studio called Lasso. Go check out their stuff. Been wanting to find a game for them for a while. In Time to Panic, you are trying to reorder, so someone has unorganized the events of history and you're trying to reorganize them. It's a co-op game. They made this like custom typeface for our numbers, and there's going to be this really cool illustration that spans across the whole thing. This is the sketch of that. Very excited about the game and the art style. Come play it in Discord. All right, now we'll wrap it up with Mailbag. Thanks you all for leaving some Mailbag questions. If you have more questions, I'm sure Austin and or Lily will be back with me next week, so hit us up with some questions. On this video, in Discord, whatever. I think I'll be putting out a mailbag call for questions on Instagram as well. So I looked through those. All right, first up, Silver Fear asks, how does the design process change when you have 3 smaller games that will be announced and released at a convention differ from your usual longer-term crowdfunding strategy? So the plan right now is to release these games for the very first time at Gen Con. So come to Gen Con. It does change the process. So really there's a lot of ways to change the process. One is just like the scope of these games. In general, we have been looking for kind of like tentpole releases, right? A game that like kind of deserves a really big moment and, carries a certain price tag, medium weight, 90 minutes is like typically what we aim for in our games. That's generally the kind of time that we have to work with to play games, and it's the kind of games that we like. But there have been some of these ideas kind of floating around that kind of weren't medium weight, right? Like weren't going to be that long, maybe weren't going to be like, that like big spotlight game, but still super fun, and something that we wanted to work on. So this really gives us an opportunity to flex different like game design muscles, and I've really enjoyed the process. It's been a bit of a sprint. It was a very audacious goal to get these done, but I'm really excited about these games. So it really just allowed us to experiment with different kinds of games. So excited to show you all what we've been working on. The other thing that's different is like these are not like price point is a consideration. We're trying to they're not going to have like a billion minis and things like that. Like we're trying to make them in a small form factor, still, very high end. Like we're going to put out something that we're really proud of, but, that's been a consideration as well of just like, working in a smaller box, literally, gives you different constraints, which is very fun to design around. Next up, we got Aaron, aka Physics, asks, which Ivy staff member do you hate losing to the most? Easy, Austin. Never want to lose to Austin. Been playing games against Austin for many years, and I must win. Next up, we got Gear24 asks, what got you into board game designing? Me personally, I loved designing. I made board games in, I don't know, like grade school and middle school. My friends would come over and we would make like weird Pokemon. We designed this game like over and over again every summer of like this, like it's like Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh style thing, but it was like there was a board, and so like you were playing cards like around this board, and depending upon where you were on the board, they would have different abilities and stuff. Not a good game. We had a blast making it. We would just argue the whole time we played it. But we had dreams of we're gonna send this to Hasbro, because Hasbro was the only company we'd ever heard of that made board games. We did not send it to Hasbro, but we had a great time making it. And then spent many years directing animated commercials, and always wanted to find a way to make the thing, not make the thing promoting the thing. And I hit up Austin, who also loves board games. I was like, dude, you wanna, I felt like a throwback to my childhood. You want to go like try and make a board game over Christmas break? We take a couple weeks off for Christmas. And he said yes. And then that was kind of the start of all this. Next up, we have Evan Borsier, good friend of mine in the studio, asks, what keeps you up at night? First of all, very personal question, but let's do it. I made a list. Number 1, drinking coffee too late. So, cheers, everybody. Let's stay up late tonight. Number 2, anxious rumination, likely fueled by a mild case of OCD. Thank you, therapy. Therapy is great. Everyone should do it. Subpoint under this, fear of failure. So that keeps me up at night. Anyone else? It is kind of amazing. We've done like 10, 12 campaigns now, and y'all show up every time. But still, every time I'm just like, who are all these people? And why do they keep showing up? Are they going to show up again? And then you all do. And it's amazing. But I think everybody who makes things has these kind of thoughts. But if you are an anxious ruminator, sometimes you need to break out of this cycle of just like, worrying about something. And because, at a certain point, it's not helpful. And this brings me to the last thing that keeps me up at night, which is a good way to get out of the anxious rumination, is big ideas. So I love making things. It's one of my favorite things to do in the whole wide world. Sometimes just you get like an idea in your head, whether it's like a writing idea or a game design idea or an art idea, and boy, that keeps me up. Just like, here we go. Got an idea. I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about this for hours. Very hard to turn off. But yeah, those are the things that keep me up at night. What keeps you up at night? All right, last question we got from Oscar Marcello. Hope I said that right. Oscar, member of our Discord. Now that you're full-time on board games, do you have any plans to innovate on something that hasn't been done before in board games, like mixing some other medium to create a whole new mechanic? For example, you made Luminor and the 10 companion apps. Plans for more like that, but something else entirely new. This is a fun question. Yes and no. So ultimately, the goal here, we're just trying to make people's favorite board games, right? That's what we're trying to do. That's hard enough, right? Hard enough to do that without putting the pressure on yourself of just like, let's do something crazy innovative that's never been done before. But all that to say, I love making these things. They do take a lot of time and energy, maybe too much. I don't know. But I am very interested in the fusion of technology and board games. Where does that bring us? I think we're uniquely equipped to work in that space and make things in that space. in general, my gut has more of silo. Like I still, nights and weekends will jam in Unity and try and make video game concepts. Working on one right now in the Tend universe. We'll see if that turns into anything. I'm really looking for like a nice, prototype that it just has like a fun core game loop, and then maybe I'll share with you all in the Discord and see what y'all think, and then build from there. So, all that to say, though, there are a lot of, I think, unique ways. One that I think would be very fun. Don't hold me to this. I don't know if this will turn into anything. But I've been experimenting a lot with just like some procedural generation stuff and like map generation, specifically around like wave function collapse, but also some like kind of cellular autonomous stuff. But I think there could be a very interesting way to use like an app or a web app to take a bunch of tiles, use wave function collapse to essentially generate unique maps for your game, right? You could go on this thing and it would generate a map that like just works with the pieces you have, and it's like totally new and original. So what is wave function collapse? It's an algorithm. Google it. But basically, it's like this could be a whole YouTube video. There are many YouTube videos on this, so go watch them. They're very interesting. But you can almost think about it like Sudoku. So when you have a Sudoku puzzle, you add a 2 here. Now, there can't be 2s here, and there can't be 2s here. And so a wave function collapse algorithm will essentially, you'd make a choice up here, and then it collapses any information that it has ruled everything out for below it, right? And so this can be really interesting when you're making like procedurally generated tile-based maps. Is you can use wave function collapse to, you start adding like a water tile here. It's like, oh, well, now I know there can only be either water or water-land hybrid tiles around it, and it will like make some decisions, and then eventually it just collapses the whole map because there are only, certain tiles that fit in certain spots. Games like Bad North and Townscaper, his name is escaping me, but there's a brilliant guy behind those games, and he does a lot of wave function collapse stuff. I've been doing a lot of research there. I think there could be a really fun, collaboration between, these procedurally generated stuff that like is more about setup and then kind of gets out of your way, and you can play something that's like totally unique, but also crafted in a way that you like couldn't do with just a rule book. Obviously, we would, if we did something like this, we would ship it with, like a bunch of scenarios. You don't need an app or whatever. Anyways, that's just one idea. I have many more. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, though, it's got to stem from like just a really fun game, or else it doesn't matter. No one will care. Anyways, I'm going to go work on these wood tokens. Thank you all for watching. Leave me some mailbag questions for next week, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, everybody.